guys picked up this Honda 300, the two-wheel drive, and they picked it up for about 300 bucks. And the guy said that he figured the rear drive shaft, which would be in this tube, was disconnected or broken or something. I've never seen that in a Honda. Hondas make pretty solid U-joints, so I'm suspecting the rear end is what's actually failed, but I won't know until I pull the whole thing off. So this is what it's doing. So I'm gonna pull it apart. Doesn't matter if you have a two-wheel drive or a four-wheel drive, they're gonna have the same rear end. Same with all the years, they're pretty much standard. So essentially I have to disconnect the brake cables, the shock. There's 4 bolts on the housing here. I'll have to take this guard off. There's 3 bolts on that if I remember correctly. And then right below the springs on the brakes there, you can see there's 2 bolts. There's another 2 on the bottom. Once I get that off, pull this little breather line off, then the whole rear end will drop out. And then I'll see if I turn this, if it still does the same thing. And if not, well, I'll be looking at the drive shaft, see if I can't pull that out. But I'm suspecting it's the rear end. These can be pretty hard to get off. But I've got a vise and I've got a big wrench. I've got a hammer. So, let me get at it here and see if I can diagnose what's going on. So, to get these cables off, and these are the parts that are going to come off. If you use an 8mm or 5/16, you can hold this nut here, and that'll allow you to spin the wing nut off. And if you have to use vice grips or something, be careful because the wing nuts can break the wings off. So other than that, there's another tube here that has to come off, and I took the guard off. It has a bolt here and a bolt up front to take the guard off for the drum. So I'm making some good progress. To pull this off, slide the rubber back, and then you can just slide the whole thing forward on the quad and it'll just pop out of the slot. So pull back. Might not be able to do it with one hand, but there we go. Just like that. So I've got everything disconnected except for the shock, and when I pull that bolt out, the rear end's gonna sag downward. And in order to pull this off, pull this end off first, and then this end, this end here, you're gonna pull it that way, and it should just come right off. So I got the rear end out and it spins freely in my hand. When I pulled this little drive shaft out, that to me looks like a pin out of a bearing, out of a U-joint. So I think the U-joint actually did fail in this quad, so I'm gonna have to pull the swing arm off to get at it. So that means I have to be able to pop these caps off and take the bolts out. Then I can drop this whole swing arm off, and then I'll be able to inspect it. This is not gonna be fun, but that's the only way to fix it. Once you get the cap off, this is what you're gonna see. That silver piece on the outside is like a lock. So it allows you to lock that in place once you have it adjusted to where you want it. I don't think the other side has that. I've seen machines that have it and don't have it. I'm not sure about whether the 300s have it. So if you have to, you could probably reach in there with a screwdriver or a chisel, catch one of those edges and tap it just to break the tension. But you're gonna need a great big monster of a Allen head, and let's see what size this is. This is a 17. And with that, you can break that loose. And once you turn those out, I guess I'll just show you what it looks like once it gets out. Before you take your swing arm bolts out, you're going to want to unclip your breather lines and also disconnect the boot on the front side of this tube. So this is what they look like. They run inside little bearings inside the swing arm. This one just goes in tight, and this one you adjust to take the play out of the swing arm so it sits tight against the tubes of the frame. So you can see what happened. This piece of the yoke broke off, and the reason I found all those pins, you can see another pin right there, that came out of this bearing for the spider here. So I'm going to end up buying one of these and one of these because the caps and the bearing ends are missing. So I don't know if I can buy that separate, so I'll just replace the whole U-joint and that yoke. I pulled this off a parts machine. This is what it's supposed to look like when it's not broken. So now I'm going to shove this on the shaft on the back of the transfer case or mid-drive or whatever they call it on these Hondas, and hang it off the back and then slide the swing arm over top of it. Got the swing arm in place. The real trick is you have to get the back of the swing arm perfectly lined up with this on both sides. I used this to help me prop it up as a third arm because I only have two. And then I shoved the drive shaft in. I cleaned it up, put some grease on the end, and managed to line it up and wiggle it on. So now it's in place. So next, I just reverse the process and put the rear end on. So I got the video of taking it off. It's just going to be the exact reverse, putting it back on. So the hard part is done. So good luck, and I hope it goes easy for you when you go and do it.